Good afternoon, everybody. Monday, October 21st, 3:15 p.m. Eastern. So we have the SPY bulls up at their highs. High of last week was 325 cents, I believe. Let's double check that. Either way, we're right at that resistance level right now. 324 cents. So a little bit of a double top, but we're closing up at the high of the day as the financial sector is testing its high of the day right now. And we are less than 1% from all-time highs. So the bulls are keeping control. Our new most important support for the rest of the week is our daily higher low of 296.99 from Friday's trading. And our sights now are going to be on the tech sector with earnings from Microsoft coming up in the middle of the week. And we are going to be watching to see if we get a bullish reaction to the next wave of tech sector earnings. And the S&P 500 will be right there at the all-time high. As far as the end of the day here, bulls would like to break 324. Certainly not required, but that would just be a little bit of a boost of confidence heading into tomorrow. Bit of a tight 15-minute range right now. The dollar. So the dollar is a daily inside bar. If the inside bar breaks bullish tomorrow, we're going to be looking for a daily lower high to be set on that bounce. We've got gold down at the low of the day. So again, gold is still in its sideways range. And we're looking down at short-term supports in the low 1470s. Silver, after starting with some strength, not keeping it. Its support is going to be 1714. Again, I am not interested in what these precious metals are doing as long as we are trading sideways within this range that we have been within pretty much all of October. So the low of the pullback, high of the bounce, and here we are just chopping around with back and forth action within that range. Oil trying to bounce from the low of the day today, and so far successful. So we do have this equilibrium to be watching. Our low was 52.36. We bounced off of 52.70, and now the bulls have to break 54.60 and 54.91 to see continuation of this bounce attempt and to try to negate the weekly bear flag. Natural gas. So natural gas had a big pullback today. We had a nice bottom fishing play where we had the low, high of the bounce, higher low held, lower high, higher low. We broke one resistance level. We could not break the high of the bounce, and now we're just trading sideways still. So looking at it on the hourly time frame, it's pretty much just a bunch of inside bars in a row. And we're going to have to see a 4-hour trend change to say that our daily higher low has been established. And at this point, we're going to be looking for a daily lower high to form on any 4-hour bounce. So a lot of work will be needed for the bulls on the 4-hour time frame to change that trend and give us the daily higher low, which is the potential of the right shoulder on that inverse head and shoulders setup that we are keeping an eye on. Bitcoin with some weakness. So bears still have the upper hand. Anything on the daily chart under 8,469 is a lower high. We're topping out at 8,350 at this point. So still just a daily lower high pattern. Just put out the cryptocurrency video where I talked about this sideways range for Bitcoin is allowing altcoins a little bit of freedom to do their own thing. So keeping an eye on these miners, again, that falling wedge pattern that we highlighted over the weekend, I get some comments on social media in response to that video saying, well, so much for that move. And my response is, no, you missed the point. We were not looking for a bullish Monday. This is a midterm pattern that we are watching, and it could take another week plus to play out, even if it is going to be exactly what we're looking for. So we were anticipating just a daily lower high to be set on this bounce because of where the previous one was. And the next few days will be interesting to see if this falling wedge pattern of lower lows not getting any follow through can remain intact. So we'll keep an eye on SPY here into the end of the day. I'm going to be keeping an eye on the MJ sector, which is trying its best to close strong at the end of the day. They're still holding on. 40 minutes left to go. But we want new highs on all those names. And let's look at what you all want to look at. Starting with Beyond. BYND. So bears still in complete control. We have the higher open pre-market, which didn't do a whole lot for the bulls. Looks like we have a half-hour equilibrium. So this is the most clarity for me, where we've got our high pre-market, low of the day, lower high, which is 112.18, higher low, lower high. So 108.57 to 111.25 is the most important short-term range for me. How that breaks, we're either going to be looking at the low, the all-time, well, the low of the pullback, 106.01, or if we see a bull break of this pattern, we'll zoom out and we'll look for the daily bounce to be underway, and then we'll just be looking for a daily lower high compared to 126.49. So short-term equilibrium on the half-hour time frame will be the guide into tomorrow. Snap, big bull break, breaking resistances. So we haven't changed the daily trend because we're coming off the low, but we are breaking resistance, 14.57. Only broke it by 6 pennies at this point, but we're closing strong. The hourly chart trading sideways. We don't have an hourly high or low yet. We'll have to break these inside bars bearish if we're going to try and form a higher low here into the end of the day, but we're running out of time. If we don't see that, we're heading into tomorrow knowing that hourly consolidation is due. As far as the weekly chart, we know anything under 18.17 is just a weekly lower high. So we're not going to change that weekly trend anytime soon. Daily chart, we'll need to top out wherever we top out and see a higher low and a higher high for convincing follow through. But as far as the short-term resistance after 14.63, we're looking at 14.68 and 15.17. So hourly higher low will be needed, and healthy hourly higher low for the bulls to be looking for healthy consolidation. SPY definitely does look like the lowest volume of the year. Pretty much anything under 35 million, and I consider it a very low volume day. The average 20-day volume is 70 million, and here we are, we're going to trade at about 30 million. So we're going to trade at half of the average 20-day volume for SPY today. So yes, very, very low volume day. SSYS. 1903 was support. We broke that support level straight into a bounce. So that was just a complete waterfall of stop losses on the 5-minute time frame into a V-shaped recovery. We will need an hourly trend change to believe that the bulls can have any follow through. So low of the day, high of the bounce was 20.39, and now we're looking for an hourly higher low compared to 18.18. But we can assume that's just stop losses because of, number one, the size of that 5-minute candlestick, the amount of volume behind it wasn't that notable, but breaking the low of 1903 likely triggered a bunch of stops. Let's see where that volume is out of curiosity. Yeah, that's an odd one. Most of that drop was before 1903, so it's not like all that volume was stops triggering. Either way, tons of volatility. When we see tons of volatility, we look for equilibriums, so that's what we're going to be looking for on the hourly time frame. Netflix. So Netflix on the 5-minute time frame, we had the high of the day. We broke the low of the day and dropped hard. We saw a V-shaped recovery. This is where I entered short. We saw the pullback. This looked like very healthy consolidation. It was not what I was looking for. What I was looking for was a 15-minute equilibrium. I wanted to see a pullback to here and a tightening range for the morning. As soon as I saw this healthy consolidation, I said, all right, that's enough for me to just stop out break even, which my break even was about 275.51, I believe is where my stop was. So as soon as we saw this sideways trading, set my stop at break even, and then we saw a big bull break for continuation, which the clue was healthy 5-minute consolidation. So then we topped out, lost the 5-minute uptrend, which means zoom out for an hourly higher low to try and form. And the bulls are trying to change the hourly trend here. Higher low, 275.48, and the bulls would have to break the high of today tomorrow to change this hourly trend, in which case we would zoom out and look for a daily lower high to form on a bounce if we can change that hourly trend for the bulls. Amazon. So Amazon is a daily inside bar as anticipated from the open, and we could say that because the range was large from yesterday or Friday, and we were opening right in the middle of it. So I'm just going to be watching, actually, I mean, if we look at this from a longer perspective from the 4-hour, I wouldn't be surprised to see an equilibrium. Looking for a lower high compared to 1794, and then we would look for a higher low compared to 1749. So the fact that we are just seeing a bit of an extended move on the hourly chart would have me a bit cautious. So 1794 will be the key resistance into tomorrow. And if we reject from it, then we'll use the 4-hour time frame for some clarity, looking for an equilibrium. BA. So BA is a bullish reversal candle on the daily. And looking at it from the open, we had a little 5-minute higher low pattern. So low of the day, higher low, higher low, higher low, higher low, higher low. We lost it right here. Didn't lead to much pullback. We did get a new high of the day after that. And then this pullback all since the high of the day. So on the hourly time frame, have to change the trend. High of the day, low of the day, lower high is 334.24. So bulls have to hold 324.40 and break 334.24 to change the hourly trend. If they can pull that off, we zoom out and we will look for a daily lower high to form on that bounce. So hourly trend change needed for bounce follow through. BCH USD. So bull move on the daily time frame on increasing bull volume as far as Coinbase Exchange goes. So that's a little bit more notable for the bulls than what Bitcoin is currently doing. 242 is the resistance level. That's the top of the bounce at this point. And this is the bulls attempting to negate the weekly bear flag. And so far doing better than Bitcoin currently is. So all about 242. If we reject from 242, we'll have an equilibrium on a longer term time frame. Looking at the 3-day chart, it would be the low, high, higher low, lower high. So all about 242. If we lose the 4-hour uptrend without breaking 242, odds of a continued tightening daily range will increase. So our 4-hour higher low right now is 223.70. And that's the trend to be watching, because as long as the 4-hour uptrend's in control, bulls have their sights on that 242 resistance. Shop. So Shop is a daily, and actually I take that back. We did break that low of Friday. So I would still consider Shop a daily uptrend in the sense that we have not broken 310.80 support. Just bounced above it today. Going to be looking for a lower high if we can change this hourly trend. So if we were to pull back, hold the low of today, and then break the high of today tomorrow, that's an hourly trend change. Then I would zoom out and look for a daily lower high compared to 349.44. And again, we're just looking for a weekly lower high to be set. And if we lose the daily high or low pattern, then that will be the case. So this could be a potential. You could view this as a head and shoulders pattern where if we break bearish, the weekly lower high will be set, and it's even a potential weekly bear flag. So we can pretty much say that if the daily loses the uptrend and sees a head and shoulders pattern play out, then the weekly bear flag is likely. Burden of proof certainly remains on the bulls at this point. NTES. So NTES pulling back. Certainly the candlestick, I would expect more bear volume than we're seeing today. The good thing for the bulls is the bull volume on the way up and the bear volume on the way down is exactly what they want to see. So we are looking for a daily higher low to form, but there's no indication of it being set yet. We need an hourly trend change. Hourly oversold conditions are a great area to be watching for a daily higher low to be set. And if we look at Tesla, daily chart, we're looking for a higher low. Hourly chart today hit oversold conditions, and we saw a couple percent bounce, only 1.5%, but that was a response to the first hourly oversold conditions, although actually we bounced Friday as well from hourly oversold. So a couple little 1 to 2% bounces, 1 to 1.5% bounces from hourly oversold conditions. The point I'm trying to make is when you're looking for a daily higher low to form, hourly oversold conditions is when we start to scout for it. So if we were to break the low today, first thing tomorrow, the hourly RSI will be oversold. the daily 12-period exponential support as a potential visual guide, that would be up in the 278s. And as long as we don't see increasing bear volume, we're just looking for a healthy daily higher low to form after a big time daily breakout. UNP daily inside bar bull break, and a nice and convincing one because we broke the high of Thursday as well. You're going to see volume, as long as SPY volume stays as it is, you're going to see volume surprisingly low across the board. So that's going to be pretty much the case, in my opinion. I don't know why the volume is so low. It is very unusually low in SPY right now. But that will have an impact everywhere. Not sure what bull flag you're talking about. Well, I guess you could call the daily a bull flag. So then I would say yes, but we're looking for a weekly lower high compared to 172.21. But with the size of the bounce now, this is the kind of setup where the bulls then shift to be looking for the inverse head and shoulders. So even if we set that lower high, we'll then need the higher low, and the weekly trend change is a possibility because of the amount of space the bulls have given themselves to form a weekly higher low whenever we do top out. Could pull back a long way and still form a weekly higher low. And our new daily higher low is 159.61. XBI. So XBI, we got a bull break. Getting over the high of Friday. Still looking for a weekly lower high. Because anything under 84.12 is a weekly lower high. And that's still, 5% away? But as long as the bulls keep the daily uptrend intact, they're in control. Our new daily higher low is 77.79. The hourly uptrend, higher low forming here at 79.76. Potential hourly bull flag, but looks like we're going to run out of time. So it's worth keeping an eye out for when the daily uptrend is lost for that weekly lower high to be set, but no sign of it. And of course, the S&P 500 is less than 1% from the all-time high, which is only going to benefit bulls as well. PLG. So PLG breaking some daily resistance. 163 was a double top. Now we're looking at 169, which we rejected from. Certainly looking for a weekly lower high. We are in a weekly downtrend. High of the bull move, low, lower high, lower low. Looking for a lower high compared to 195. And anything on the hourly above 158 is an hourly higher low. Hard to have a ton of confidence in the bulls on this chart because of that weekly lower high expected. And also not really seeing an entirely strong move on the back of breaking that 163 double top. And we don't have a daily trend change. Dropped all the way down to 133. High of the bounce has not been set yet. And then we'll need the daily trend change. That would make me a bit more confident, but have to see a daily higher low and higher high for some follow through. AMD, nice daily continuation. Big follow through. Higher low is 30.29. On the daily, that's our new higher low now. Breaking all kinds of resistances today. 32.19, that broke as well. Look at the lack of resistance after 32.19 here. So we're not closing above that level, but a bull break. Hourly, healthy consolidation right now. I would say anything above the low of the day is an hourly higher low. And the bulls would love to see follow through tomorrow into this lack of resistance zone above 32.19. Roku daily inside bar will be on watch into tomorrow. If the bears are going to take over, we're going to have to lose the 4-hour uptrend with a lower high, which would be an inability to break 139.59, and then rolling over and breaking 124.79, but if that were going to take place, we would likely need to see S&P 500 weakness. I am going to be scouting Roku for weakness on the daily because, again, this weekly chart, we are looking for a weekly lower high to be set. But still a daily uptrend at this point, and just a daily inside bar to be watching into tomorrow. COUP. COUP daily bullish reversal candlestick. 123.72 was support. We broke it, but not by much. Have we changed the hourly trend? The answer is no. Low of the day. We're topping out at the high of the bounce. 129.16 stands out as resistance. Are we over that level? No, we're not. That's the resistance. Double top. Bulls have to hold the low today and break that double top to see the bounce get underway. And we'll just be looking for a daily lower high after that, but nice and tight range forming and a very clear resistance that the Bulls will have to get over. Netflix trying to change the hourly trend. Have to hold 275.48 and break 279.94. Might as well call it 280. And if we can change that hourly trend, we zoom out and we look for a daily lower high to form as we have a temporary bottom looking set from the earnings reaction. AMTD. So AMTD has been a nice slow and steady bounce. The key resistance is 38.20 before we get into gap fill territory. So it was just a scenario where we had a big reaction to their news of no fees. We hit the temporary bottom and we reached a point. This is what I talk about when I keep talking about scales tipping, where we reach a point where there's nobody left to go short. There's nobody left to sell their long position that has not already sold on this news. And there's only buyers left. And that's what happens when you get this slow and steady kind of turnaround. It's just everybody that was going to go bear went bear. So we are looking for a weekly lower high, absolutely. Key resistance is approaching before we get to an area with no resistance. And the Bulls have a lot of space to work with because anything above 34.58 is a daily higher low. So when we lose the daily uptrend, our weekly lower high will be set. But with where we stand right now, the Bulls have a lot of space to consolidate and try and keep the daily uptrend. WFC. So WFC, our daily higher low is now 49.32, and our key resistance is 51.25 and 51.41, a little double top. So Bulls trying to keep this little daily uptrend by holding that support and closing up near the high of the day, and our sights will be on that short-term resistance. Again, the financial sector very notably stronger than tech the last 2 days. So natural gas has seen an hourly trend change. Again, we are just looking for a 4-hour lower high. But we are a couple percent above that low. So Bulls trying to close with a little bit of momentum in their favor. TEVA looks like a whole bunch of profit taking. So you can say the weekly trend has changed, and actually you could say it already changed previously. Support was 639. We held that level. So the weekly little higher lows are intact. We did get a higher high, but obviously a ton of profit taking today. So giving back the majority of that breakout, I assume that's a midday news break. And to see that kind of move, 15, 16%, and then give back 80% of that move, obviously not ideal. So we're looking for an hourly higher low to form. Anything above the low of today is an hourly higher low, but certainly would expect a daily inside bar tomorrow with the size of the range of this candlestick. I don't like the technical signal here of the break of 849 because, again, the bulls were very overextended when the break took place. And it wasn't a technical reaction. It looks like a news reaction that just extended the bulls, got them very exhausted, and gave back any progress from that resistance break. So I would definitely need more proof from the bulls over 849. BYND. I think we already looked at it. TLRY. Yes, we could say that, but all of the major Canadian MJ names right now are possible bull or possible bear flags on the daily time frame. That being said, if we break the high of the bounce, essentially my thinking with the major names in the sector is we top out just another lower high like we were looking for, and now the bears, it's their turn to take back over. And they did Friday, and they did to start this morning, but that takeover of the bears, where we're looking for lower lows and continuation of the downtrend, did not last long at all. It was not powerful, and the bulls bought the dip today. So that tells me maybe bears are losing a bit of their momentum with their inability to see convincing, clear follow-through from the tops of the bounce. And let's look at CGC just as an example as well. So CGC, top of the bounce was set on Thursday. Friday, we pulled back and broke the higher low each day pattern, and we just have not seen bear follow through from that. So my thinking is we might be seeing a short-term shift in momentum, and if TLRY can break the high of the bounce, 2273, and if any individual Canadian MJ name can break the high of the bounce, the odds of a bear flag go down fairly significantly. And if they break the high of the bounce, we pretty much just zoom out and we look for a weekly lower high to be set. But a lot of these names haven't bounced in 5 or 6 weeks, and a lot of them are in oversold conditions on their weekly time frame. The sector ETF is, CGC still is, ACB, TLRY is not, but that's part of the reason as to why I'm thinking, okay, bears unable to get convincing follow through once the top of the bounces were set, and weekly oversold conditions in a lot of names still, maybe it's time for short-term weekly oversold bounces. So that's what I'm watching for the rest of the week, but all of these names will have to be green tomorrow to prove anything to us. They'll have to be green, and they'll have to break the high of the bounce from last week. NTNX. Daily higher low established at 25.62. Bull break over resistance. Not yet. 27.44. Actually, we did break it by 8 cents. Not convincing, but it's that resistance level. And then it's 27.65. So we're right there under resistance, trying to confirm the weekly trend change with a higher low and higher high. Have to break 27.65. The sooner the better. And it's nice to see a new higher low established for bulls as we were extended heading into that resistance, which likely explains the initial rejection. Daily higher low established, and now bulls making their way to try again. Apple new all-time high. This is a little mini bull flag that was confirmed. So now we're looking at 241, 242, just psychological resistance levels. We saw 240 and 241 psychological resistance levels come into play today. And as far as the hourly chart goes, higher low being established here at the end of the day. And bulls have a lot of space to work with. So no red flags. Hourly, daily, weekly, everything's still in an uptrend for the Apple bulls. Earnings are next week. So if we keep up this strength for another couple days, then we'll start to have to be a bit cautious of the potential of profit taking before we head into earnings. C, bull flag on the daily confirmed. Higher low is 71.17. And now it's all about 72.08. If we break 72.08, then it's 73.08. You could already say that the weekly trend is back to the bulls with a higher low and higher high here, but a break of 73.08 would definitely make that more convincing. but a nice strong daily chart with a clear uptrend still intact. TTD. So daily support was 185.43 and we held that. So technically we're still in a daily uptrend, but this is one of those scenarios where if we see a lower high with an inability to break the top of the bounce, 212s, and then we roll over and lose the daily uptrend, it's a weekly bear flag if that takes place. So it's currently a weekly bear flag. The burden of proof is on the bulls to negate that by getting over the top of the bounce at this point. And if we're unable to do so and we lose the daily higher lows, then the weekly bear flag odds go up significantly. ZYNE. Nice follow through. That's exactly what the bulls needed because we broke 815 key resistance straight into consolidation. And now that's our new daily higher low. So 782 is the daily higher low. Bull break over 848 to see continuation. And at anything above the low of today, 807 will be an hourly higher low. Looks like we're topping out temporarily here at the end of the day. And when we lose the hourly uptrend, we'll zoom out and watch the daily higher low, keeping in mind that we are looking for a weekly lower high to be set on this bounce, but it's not set yet. And this follow through move today is doing its best to negate the weekly bear flag that was present before the start of this week. ACB and APHA, that all depends on your risk tolerance and what your trade game plan is. So I personally have started initial positions knowing that the hourly setup was not ideal. The hourly setup, if it were ideal, it would be a clear hourly trend change that was an entry point. So looking at something like ACB, we have our low, high of the bull move. We're looking for an hourly higher low to form. So my trade game plan is making an initial entry this afternoon and then looking to add to that on the hourly higher low if we do pull back into tomorrow morning. And then I would exit if the low of today breaks. Everything about my trade game plan is based off of the lows of today because we're looking for daily higher lows to be set. And if the lows of today do not hold, then the daily higher lows are not set and we are looking for a bear flag to play out. CURA. So low, high of the bounce. And I would be viewing this as an inability to change the trend. It's just little lower highs and lower lows here. The bulls must hold 685 and break 929. Those are the two levels that we are interested in. And obviously we are a bit closer, let's see, 105 above support and 140, 139 below resistance. So still near the middle of the range. But every red day we see from here and every candle that rejects from these exponential resistances just makes the daily trend change harder. Bulls must break 929. So we have to see an hourly trend change and the bulls show back up this week. STZ, anything above 191.04 is a daily higher low. So again, this is another one of those setups where we're looking for a weekly lower high to be set. Could it be a bear flag? Yes. This bounce is not very significant at this point. We will expect a higher low compared to 191.04 at least initially, but if we're going to see the bears take back over, we're going to look for a higher low, inability to break resistance, and then a loss of the daily uptrend, which would indicate the weekly bear flag is the most likely scenario. If we keep the daily uptrend, form a higher low, and then break to higher highs, then the weekly bear flag is negated. So the more we pull back before the daily higher low is found, the more the odds of the inability to get back to the high of the bounce and over it. So cautious due to the size of the pullback at this point. CSCO. So CSCO, we have our daily support down at $46. Anything above 46 is a daily high or low. We did break 47.30 short-term resistance. So you could call that a little daily trend change. If we're going to see convincing follow-through, we have to get over 48.13. Anything on the weekly chart under 50.30 is a weekly lower high, so we're not changing the weekly trend anytime soon. So I would say it's all about 48.13 resistance at this point. And the bulls have a lot of space to form an hourly high or low, as we have not formed an hourly high or low at any point today. So SPY bulls closing strong into the end of the day, 324, and then the all-time high are our only two resistances that we're currently watching at the moment. Financial sector is leading the way. Tech sector will be reacting significantly to Microsoft earnings, which is a major holding. And then next week, Apple earnings, also a major holding. So if the bears are going to prove anything to us this week, we have to lose the SPY daily high or low that was established on Friday. So that's our line in the sand for daily time frame right now. As long as 297 is holding on SPY, the bulls have complete control. And it is still a very, very low volume day on SPY. Even at the end of the day here, we're going to be around 30 million shares traded. Amazon bulls played catch up this afternoon, closing strong. Just a slow and steady bull move all late morning into the afternoon, as the tech sector is up at the high of the day. And Facebook closing out the day as the lead tech bull. It was hand in hand with Apple as lead tech bulls, but Facebook standing out now with its strength. So we'll see if we get an all-time high tomorrow. It's certainly on the table for the bulls. Less than 1% at this point. Things will get interesting if we do not break all-time highs on SPY, and if we lose the hourly uptrends. That'll definitely throw a bit of a question mark as to where we're headed this week. And we'll keep an eye on earnings. Natural gas closing up near the high of the day as far as UGAS is concerned. So keeping an eye on a 4-hour lower high for natural gas. Then the bulls will have to change the trend. Got some pretty strong closes on IAN. Up near the high of the day. VFF is at the high of the day. So hope you all have a good rest of your day. And we'll see you tomorrow morning.